Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rauch, I have a couple of questions for you. On Guam, in the Western Pacific, data collection and scientific methods remain a significant challenge to us, but they're crucial to the health of our fisheries and ecosystems. Now, I also believe a science-based approach can and should take into consideration unique cultural issues as well as our diverse ecosystem. With that said, do you believe that this draft bill's provision that undermine the advice of scientific and statistical committees will result in more profitable and sustainable fisheries?
I am not sure what provision you're talking about, but I do want to echo your concern about the importance of science in the Western Pacific. It is something that we've been very concerned about. We've recently increased our investment there. I do believe that fishery management depends on good science. There needs to be science-based decisions, and there is a national standard that requires all management determinations to be based on the best available science. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the Secretary acts as the gatekeeper for science. We have to approve all the regulations, and we will have to make sure that the councils or that the regulations are based on best available science. So I'm not sure exactly what provision you're talking about, but we are concerned that the decisions need to continue to be made science-based. And if there was any undermining of that, that would be of a concern to us.
All right, and my second question for you is, under current law, NOAA makes the determination of whether or not a stock is overfished. Now, the Section 3 of the draft bill, it says that it would remove scientific criteria and allow consuls to, one, determine independently whether or not a stock is overfished, and two, unilaterally terminate rebuilding efforts. So what would be the result of removing such scientific criteria from determining whether or not a stock is overfished?
So that issue is somewhat complicated right now. Currently, the councils set the criteria for what is overfished in all existing fishery management plans. It has to be based on the best available science. We ultimately, as I said, are the gatekeepers. So every fishery management plan right now has a council-generated definition of what is overfished or not. We then, the Fisheries Service, comes in and we run the science and the stock assessments and determine were those criteria met in any given basis. So we will tell the council whether the situation has met that. The current bill would seem to allow the councils to shortcut a rebuilding plan before it has achieved its objectives by saying it was depleted and it's no longer depleted. And it's unclear to me how that process works. We've seen in the past situations where rebuilding plans were going on, and then for whatever reason the situation changes, and there needs to be some flexibility and adjustment. We think we've done that, but we've heard that there's this issue about rebuilding plans which need to terminate early. This bill, it would seem, would allow the councils to terminate the rebuilding plan early. It's not clear what the criteria they would use to do that, but as I said, ultimately the Secretary would be the gatekeeper and would require that it be based on the best available science. But that's an issue that we would need to look into.
So let me get back to then this provision that we spoke of here. It would be a concern. Is that correct?
The concern is that when we set out a rebuilding plan, we say we're going to achieve a biological target. That biological target then has economic consequences. The reason we're doing this is we want to generate economic growth in the fishery. This would appear to allow the councils to stop the rebuilding before you achieve that target. And it's not clear to me what the consequences of that are. So are you leaving economic value, are you foregoing economic value, or are there significant short-term costs that you need to account? So that's a delicate balancing that we would have to look at. So we would want to look at that issue before we take a firm position. But that would be the issue about terminating it before you achieve your biological target.
In listening to the answers to my questions, Mr. Rauch, I do feel that you think that scientific methods are important, whatever section of the bill we're speaking.
Absolutely.
Thank you.